and that answers the first and the second issue, whether there was communication, whether there was evidence that there was tabled to challenge the notice. There was no correspondence and all pleadings that was filed before our clients challenging or responding to the invitation and challenging the notice of impeachment. We are not aware of one. The impeachment motion at the County Assembly went uncontroverted and unchallenged. As to the question of the Auditor General's report and whether it can form the basis of this impeachment, permit me to draw your attention to Article 10 of the Constitution, because that is a legal question. It lays down the national values and the principles of governance, which Article 10 provides that it binds all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons when any of them applies or interprets the Constitution. And in this case, we are applying the Constitution and then the written law. One of the principles is the principle of accountability and the principle of transparency, the principle of the rule of law, the principle of good governance. When you go to the article establishing the office of the Auditor General, the Auditor General comes in to scrutinize and to lay effect to the implementation of Article 10. Whether there was accountability, whether there was transparency, whether the rule of law was followed in public expenditure. Again, that must be read together with Article 2 or 1 of the Constitution that provides and lays down the principles on how public resources must be expended. One of the overriding principles is that there must be prudent utilization of the resources. And number two, Honorable Senators, is that when reading the Constitution, we must read it as a whole. Any article breathing life to the subsequent one. That is to mean, Honorable Senators, that if an office has been established by the Constitution, an office such as that of the Auditor General, it must be seen as a complementing office that is complementing the principles laid down under Article 10, pursuing the doctrine of transparency, the doctrine of accountability, the doctrine of the observation of the rule of law, the doctrine of good governance. That is to mean, Honorable Senators, when an issue has been raised in the...
Senator Christo, allow the Council to conclude, then you can make an intervention. Yes, what is your issue, Senator Christo?
Thank you very much, Speaker, for allowing me to just make this quick comment. Speaker, you have given direction that we only have 30 minutes for this clarification session, and I believe that we are moving into an area where the Council is being allowed to re-prosecute his case by giving quite lengthy responses, and the rest of us have other clarifications we'd like to make if it pleases the House Speaker and yourself. Could the Council be guided to just make his responses brief so that we can get through more clarifications and not to re-prosecute his case? I thank you.
Council for the County Assembly.
Yes.
If I was wondering what kind of question you're responding to, because the question by the Senator for Nandi has no relationship with the lengthy statement you're giving. Be precise. Just go straight to what you've been asked to clarify. And I'm giving you 2 minutes to conclude that.
I'm well guided, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, the answer is yes. The Auditor General reports can form the basis of impeachment because as under the time of the generation of that particular report, Article 229 requires the County Assembly to debate. After debating, that does not mean that it disposes of or waives the county assembly's responsibility of oversight. It can form the basis of impeachment, because an action must ensue and or follow from the findings of the county of the reports. It's not just a report that has to be done and be placed somewhere and gathers dust.
Senate
Most
Majority
humbled.
Leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Approve. Mr. Speaker, and you know, just as a point, we have to move away from this Stone Age practice. I hope in the next impeachment process, we will go digital. This is unfair to the climate. Look at this, every senator will. Anyway, just a simple clarification, Mr. Speaker. Part of the documents I've spent a lot of time reading are documents from the public participation, because I wanted to hear what the people of Meru are saying, because this is about the people of Meru, Mr. Speaker. And I'd refer the Council for the Assembly to their document, Volume 5, this very huge, voluminous document before us. Mr. Speaker, the reason I did this is I just wanted to understand, and I'll be satisfied if the Council can even just point me to any of the documents they have presented, because it will help me to form a correct opinion. Because listening to the Council yesterday, in his opening remarks, he alluded to, and this has been captured as part of the documents they presented on page 11, 1334, on views of members of the public supporting notice of proposed motion to impeach governor of the county government of Meru, the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza. And one of the main issues that keeps coming up, I had the council speak about it. I had the Honorable member, I think Zipporah, the one who moved the impeachment motion, refer to it also yesterday, that the governor is allegedly behind disunity problem, especially amongst the leaders of Meru, and the efforts, especially by Meru professionals during Cheke Council of Elders, and the clergy seem not to bear any fruits. That doesn't concern me much, because, you know, at leaders level, Mr. Speaker, there are many reasons why we disagree. But as an exit to this problem, last time we made our conversation, we had requested, just the last point, Mr.
Majority
Speaker.
Leader, you have not more than 2 minutes to seek the clarification.
The 12th paragraph of that process is that the governor is alleged, paragraph 11, the governor is alleged to frustrate the process of reconciliation between her, the deputy governor, and the MCAs. This featured prominently in their case and submissions. Is there any document that they can point out to us, Mr. Speaker, to confirm that indeed there have been efforts to do this, but the governor specifically frustrated them? I'd be satisfied even if just told, go to this document and see this. Thank you.
County Assembly, 1 minute.
Thank you very kindly, the Majority Leader. The voluminous document that you see contains the report and the analysis that came or accrued from the processes of the public participation. We have voluminous evidence where the members of the County Assembly say that yes, there has not been fruitful results from the process or initiated for reconciliation. Some of them are yet to give us the reports. For example, the Nchorincheke that you referred to is yet to give its findings as to the current existing status, whether there has been reconciliation or not. In any case, Mr. Speaker, sir, the public participation is quite different, and the views of the public are quite different from the views of perhaps of those who may be wanting to reconcile. And reconciliation efforts perhaps may also be evidenced by the fact that I've noted in Governor's response that individuals have even moved the President, His Excellency the President, to dissolve the Meru County. That is the indifference, that is a conundrum, whether it should then be dissolved or we should deal with the problem at hand. I'm most obliged.
Senator Olekena. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Briefly, I just need to seek some clarification from the Council, from the Assembly. Yesterday, when you were leading one of your witnesses, you alleged to the fact that the governor had made a statement and said that that witness was given 86 million. Could you clarify the following things? One, whether there was only one pay bill or there were others. I refer to page 168 of volume 1B. There's an account number 075560442, which is also for the pay bill number 247247, which I believe is an Equity Bank. Whether you have that statement here. And then there was also a statement in the same page 168 that says that those donating from abroad should send to a number 0720103-913 if we have a statement to that effect. And then finally, on this issue of the Auditor General report, do you have, as per the Constitution, Article 229, subsection 8, it says that, it reads as follows: within 3 months after receipt of an audit report, Parliament or the County Assembly shall debate and consider the report and take appropriate action. Do you have any report, maybe I missed it out, where the County Assembly of Meru debated on the Auditor General findings and took appropriate action so that we can be able to look into it? Or did you just take the Auditor General report and submitted it as part of your case? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. County Assembly, 1 minute.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Speaker, sir. The witness who testified, Irene, who is the window to the deceased, confirmed before the Assembly that there only existed one account, and as to whether the money that was being sent from abroad was ever uploaded to the same account. In her examination in chief, she led the House to the evidence that 115,000 shillings that had been generated found itself to the pay bill, and that you find it at page 301 of volume 2, where all the money from that particular number, which was registered in the name of Judith, was eventually credited to the said account, and the credit is reflected as that of 115,000. And the number that was responsible for collecting of the 100,000 shillings, 1,015,000 shillings, appears on the governor's bundle of document labeled as Volume 1B, at page 168, I beg your pardon, marked as KM20. The number is registered as that from those in diaspora sent to this number, that is 0720-103-913, registered in the name of Judith. That is the number reflected in our bundle of documents statement at page 301. So all the money had one centralized mechanisms of management and only one pay bill. We'll be asking her to give evidence as to the whereabouts of the other millions when her time comes. As the question of the Auditor General, whether it has been debated, the same was generated on the 20th of June 2024. And the motion before the Assembly is dated 31st of July. Debate is yet to take effect at the County Assembly. But the question is, was there a transgression that was notified or noticed by a constitutional organ? And if yes, how do we proceed to deal with that legal transgression?
Senator Omtata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise on the question of public participation. I've gone through the bundle and I don't see any evidence that feedback was provided to the people who gave their views on either why they were accepted or rejected. And this is a standard that has been set by the courts, that there must be feedback to those who present their views. It's not like a census or something. So can the Land Council point me to any part of the evidence they have where they complied with the standard on feedback, on public participation, so that what they have submitted can be admissible as having met the threshold that has been set by the courts, especially in Civil Appeal number E003 of 2023. That's the National Assembly, and another versus Okiya Mtoto Koiti and 52 others. Thank you.
Proceed, Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I must thank the Senator for Busia for the well work done in contributing to the jurisprudence of this country, and especially the question of public participation, which is still a moot area with a lot of jurisprudences emerging, a challenge that also faces perhaps most of the government organizations on how to initiate it and how to get a feedback. I must admit that this is a recent ruling, judgment of the Court of Appeal, which is barely a month old, and therefore, and actually it was delivered on the 31st of July this year, when the motion was already in the county assembly. So I believe that most of the organizations, including this Senate, is yet to adjust itself to meet the legal threshold as laid out by the Court of Appeal. Previously,
Senator, you've answered, Counsel. Senator Sige.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Yesterday, Speaker, the Council, through his witness-in-chief, played some videos. My questions are as follows. There was one video that depicted a scene whereby it looks like it was said to be the home of the witness-in-chief, and somebody was pouring petrol and then torched a fence on that property. My question is, who took that video? Is there any evidence showing the owner of the device that took that video? Because in the evidence, the witness-in-chief, Speaker, said that the first person to have known that there was a fire on the property was the watchman who came running and then told others. So who took that video at that exact moment when the fire was when it was being torched? Second, Speaker, there was also two other videos where one, the witness-in-chief was doing a interview and spoke about grievances from farmers or about dead cows. The second was a news report talking about a lack of service delivery in a hospital where a lady was made to give birth outside of a hospital. Speaker, I wanted to find out if there are any supporting affidavits, if there are any reports, certified reports of the same two scenarios, which would give credence to the allegation of lack of service delivery in our batch of documentation. Lastly, on page 168, there is a number of an account, and I wanted to know whose it belongs to. It 0755. I forget the rest of the numbers. 60442. Can you please clarify whose that belongs to? Thank you.
County Assembly.
thank you, Honorable Speaker. The video that was played was captured by the CCTV footage at 3:48 a.m. It's evidence from the video supported by the affidavit of the mover, and the matter is still subject of these proceedings. The video on the evidence on the dead cows and the lack of services at the county government of Meru, the same is supported by the evidence and the affidavit of the mover annexed hereto, and evidence has been laid in chief in that respect. And we have a certificate of electronic evidence produced in respect to that particular footage. On the question of the number, that is 07555604442, that is the number of the witness, or witness PW2, who happens to be the window to the deceased, the slain blogger Sniper. Yeah, and that is part and parcel of the number that forms the basis of the account.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, we shall now move to hear the case for the governor. Counsel for the governor, you have the floor. You have 4 hours to present your case. Those 4 hours do not include the time that the honorable senators will take to seek for clarifications.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you, distinguished senators. I stand here to seek your direction, Mr. Speaker, on time management so that we begin on a clear understanding. I make this request, Mr. Speaker, because of what transpired here yesterday. When the Assembly made their case, they spent 3 hours and 10 minutes on the evidence of their first witness, essentially leaving the official time of 4 hours with a balance of only 50 minutes. The net effect, Mr. Speaker, is that the governor's team was completely disadvantaged throughout yesterday, and I'm certain that the senators who were here last night could see how we struggled to wriggle within the limited time. We therefore beseech you that we give directions on time management, and we propose as follows, Mr. Speaker. We ended up using 6 hours yesterday for the witnesses for the Assembly. Out of these 6 hours, 2 were given to the governor's team with no opportunity for extension, and 4 hours and 10 minutes were given to the Assembly team. It therefore follows that the Assembly got 2/3 of the time yesterday, and the governor's team got 1/3 of the time yesterday. We beseech you that in tandem with the principle of equality of arms, the governor's team gets 2/3 of their time today, and the Assembly team gets 1/3 of the time today in advance of commencement of the proceedings, so that every party decides how they want to use or play about with their time. And when they run out of their time, it is their own making, and they take the consequences. If that direction finds favor with you, Mr. Speaker, sir, the 4 hours you have given us today translate to 240 minutes, 2/3 of which is 160 minutes. We urge that from the very outset, you direct that the governor's team has their 160 minutes, which they will decide how to use, and the Assembly team has the balance, which translates mathematically to 1/3 of the 4 hours that you have given us today, and they will decide how to use it. So that if any party wastes time, they are wasting singularly their own time and not the adverse party's time. I make this plea, Mr. Speaker, precisely to underpin the principle of equality of arms, because the Hansard of this House will bear me out. The Assembly got 2/3 of yesterday's time. The governor's side got 1/3 of the time yesterday. Once you give that direction, Mr. Speaker, I will then give you how we intend to distribute our time and how we are going to go about calling our witnesses. I humbly submit.
Now, Counsel for the County Assembly, we need not debate on issues of time. You know exactly what happened yesterday.
Yes.
You were given 4 hours. You took 3 hours and 10 minutes.
I am on a different position that I also wish your guidance, so that you can just do it
No, on time, it's squarely in my hands. So
on time,
just
it's squarely on
sit
your
as I give
hands.
directions on
That's
the
correct, Lord. Yeah.
Please do. Take your seat.
Mr. Speaker, sir, yesterday proceedings, one Linda, who is a legal advisor, who was a legal advisor, alluded to a fact of forgery of her, a document that is purported to have been issued by her. Mr. Speaker, I'm making an application under Section 65 of the Evidence Act that for purposes of establishing the truthfulness or lack of it of that claim, which is grievous, that this Senate does order the bearer of this document, that is Governor Kawira, to produce the original copy of the same before the close of business so that we can have a look at it.
Counsel for the County Assembly, let us allow the governor to present her case.
Most obliged.
And then we will be able to handle each issue.
I am well guided.
Being raised.
Most obliged.
At the time it's being raised.
Most obliged.
Counsel for the governor, you may proceed. Indeed, the County Assembly will have a third of the time allocated, just like it happened yesterday. Proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I therefore be ceding ground to my colleague, Mr. Robert Mutembei, to put on the stand our first witness, Mr. Ibrahim Mutwiri Kerimi. I urge that the said witness be presented on the stand.
Mr. Speaker, as we wait for the witness to be brought in, for the record, my name is Robert Mutembei. I intend to take about 20 minutes on this witness.
Where is the witness? Sergeant at Arms, can you usher in the witness, please? Secretariat, may you administer the oath?
I, Ibrahim Mutwiri Keremis, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Mr. Ibrahim, could you kindly introduce yourself to the House?
My name is Ibrahim Mutwiri Keremi, the CC member, Finance, Economic Planning, and ICT, Meru County Government.
Mr. Ibrahim, kindly confirm that you wrote an affidavit that appears in support of the response of the governor, and that is your signature on the affidavit.
Yes, I do confirm that this is my affidavit signed by me. in support of the governor of Meru County government.
You wish to rely on this affidavit as your evidence before this House?
Yes, I do.
The affidavit is signed on 16th of August 2024. It appears from page 30 to 35 of volume 1 of the governor's response. Ibrahim, let's just go straight to what has brought you here in light of the time that we have. Have you read the impeachment motion that has been brought against the governor?
Yes, I have.
Specifically, have you read count 3, which largely talks about financial issues, most of which have been the subject of discussion yesterday and today morning?
Yes, I have, and particularly manual payroll and alleged irregular payment of allowances to doctors.
Very well. So let's go to the motion, count 3. I just want you to look at the grounds under that count. The first one reads irregular payment of emergency call allowances to doctors and medical officers using the wrong rates, contrary to sections 45 and 46 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act and others mentioned there. And the second one reads use of manual payroll, contrary to section 6.7.6 of the County Financial Accounting Reporting Manual. The wordings of those grounds, do you recall where else they have been picked from?
Yes, Aideen, I can report that I have I've interacted with similar wordings that have been, this motion or these wordings have been picked directly from the office, the report of Auditor General for the Meru County Executive for the year 2022, or financial year 2022-2023.
And the same report is also produced in the County Assembly Exhibit of Documents at page 347. So you confirm that you are saying that these very grounds that form part of count 3 have actually been plucked from the audit report in the same manner of wording?
Yes, the Auditor General report for the year, for the financial year 2022-2023.
So I want you to demonstrate that this audit report is not unique and doesn't raise unique issues. So people would be wondering, what is so wrong in this audit report? Are there peculiar issues in this report? So I want us to go to that report and particularly read for us the opinion of the Auditor General. This report at page 341 of the Assembly documents, volume 2, page 341, sorry, it is at page 333. It starts at page 333 of volume 2, exhibit into support of the impeachment motion. So that is one of the major documents that has been submitted in support of the impeachment motion. But Ibrahim, I want you to go to page 341 and particularly read paragraph 2 that appears at the top of that page.
Yes, I will read. This is an opinion of the Auditor General that, in my opinion, except for the effect of the matters described in the basis for qualified opinion section of my report, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of Meru County Executive as at 30th June 2023 and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international public sector accounting standards, that is cash basis, and comply with the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and the County Government Act 2012.
Okay, if you remember the wordings of the impeachment motion, you recall that the motion accuses the governor of violating those very laws that the Auditor General confirms that the county executive has complied with. Is that true?
True, that is very true.
Okay, perhaps you could enlighten this House on the nature of opinions that would ordinarily be rendered pursuant to an audit report.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. There are a number of audit opinions that an auditor may give, given the kind of a financial statement he or she has come across. One, there is unqualified report. Unqualified report means that the documents that have been provided and the financial statements do agree. Then the next is qualified report. Qualified report means that the documentation that has been provided and the financial statements do agree. However, there are just some minor items or matters within the report. Then there is adverse report. Adverse report means there are quite a number of issues that do not agree. The financial statements and also the documentation that has been provided. Okay, then there is a disclaimer of opinion.
Okay, very well. Where does the opinion of the county executive fall?
It falls in the qualifying report, and I will also explain. If you go if you check the Green Book by the Auditor General for the year 2023, you will find by the county executives in Kenya, there are 47. There is no single county executive that has unqualified report. However, 41 county executives have qualified report, and 6 have adverse opinions. In our case, Meru County Executive has qualified audit opinion or audit report.
And you confirm that Meru County is not one of those 6 which have adverse opinions?
It is not among them.
And have you had a chance to also review audit reports of the County Assembly of Meru for the current year, for the previous years? Do they form the same opinion, or
yes,
what is the nature of it?
I have, and honorable senators and honorable speaker, if you check also from the Green Book for the county assemblies, County Assembly of Meru is within the qualifying reports. In Kenya, there are 3 county assemblies that have unqualified reports. Okay, however, County Assembly of Meru is in the qualified report where the county executive of Meru is also in.
So, Ibrahim, what you are telling this House is that there is nothing unique about the report of the county executive of Meru.
There is nothing unique, and indeed, a qualifying report is, as I said, the documentation and the financial statements are agreeing.
Okay, very well. I want you to tell us what would have been the recommendation of the Auditor General if there was something so materially in breach of the law.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. An Auditor General, if there are particular substantive issues within, maybe within financial statements, he or she may recommend for a forensic audit. He may recommend either for a special audit, and if a county assembly committee or a Senate committee has considered those reports, may recommend for such change where there is a loss of money. They may recommend for particular, like investigative bodies to take up the matter, or they may also reprimand a certain officer for any matter, any omission or commission within the financial statements.
That satisfies it. So what you are saying is actually contained in the Public Audit Act, and I want you to just confirm that that is what you're saying at Section 53 and Section 54, and Section 37 also talks about forensic audit. So just confirm that what you are explaining is actually what is in the law.
That is very true, Council.
I want you to just confirm by looking at the Act, the Public Audit Act. Is that Section 54? What does it say? We can start with Section 53.
53, okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Senators. Implementation of reports by an accounting officer, that is 53.1. The relevant accounting officer of a state organ or public entity shall, within 3 months after Parliament, has considered and made recommendations on the audit report, A, take the relevant steps to implement the recommendations of Parliament in the report of the Auditor General, or B, give explanations in writing to the Parliament on why the report has not been acted upon.
Okay, just stop there. Counsel for the Assembly started when he was answering the questions before the senators. I quote him, he said, action must ensue from the audit report. How does action arise from the audit report? Is that what you're reading? Section 53?
Yes, and these actions ensue from an audit report. I want to explain to Honorable Senate that an audit report by itself is not a final report. It must have, that is why a number of, the county assembly or the parliament must consider the recommendations or the opinion. In fact, the audit report is an opinion of the Auditor General. Why is it an opinion? It is an opinion because when the auditor was auditing the books, the time was limited. It was, in fact, the audit is just a sampling. It's not a forensic or a complete audit. So there must be an event after the audit report for a complete investigation of matters where a number of them are dropped and other issues or other matters are taken up by other institutions.
So what you're saying is that the submission of the audit report in itself is not the end of the audit process.
Indeed, it is not, and that is what this provisions is putting.
Have you ever been summoned by the county assembly to shed light on the audit report?
For this particular audit report for the financial year 2022-2023, I have not.
Okay, very well. Let's go to the issues that have been raised in those two counts we have made reference to. There is the issue of the manual payroll. So, why was there a manual payroll used for that period? Maybe you could explain very briefly what leads to the use of a manual payroll.
Honorable Speaker and Honorable Senators, a manual payroll means an individual has been paid outside the system. That is the automated system. That is the IPPD.
Okay,
and
so
this happens.
Okay, go on.
It happens when an individual has been recruited before one is formally assigned the IPPD number, which does not end and finish with the county executive. Before he or she gets that number, then he or she, for him or her to get that.
So, okay, just to cut you short, who gives the IPPD numbers?
It is given by the Directorate of Personnel Management in the Ministry of Public Service in the national government.
And have you produced evidence to show that the county executive actually actually applied for these numbers and how long it takes?
In fact, in the evidence that I have provided.
So, Honorable Senators, it is the evidence is in Volume 1B of the Governor's bundle of documents from page 190, page 183 to 184. From page 183 to 184. So, the documents contained in those pages, what do they show in summary? Very briefly, what do those documents reveal?
Okay, let me begin with page 183. It's KM28. It shows a request for personal numbers by the Department of Public Service of the County Executive of Meru, which was done on 11th December,
yes,
2023.
When was the response received?
Council and honorable members of the Senate, 186, page 186, KM29, it indicates that this response was done or came back on 19th March 2024.
So what does that time, how many months are those? Okay, was it within a very short time?
No, it wasn't council.
Okay, so you are essentially saying that it takes time.
It takes time, and also to explain a bit further, for these are the newly recruited officers. For the officers that are coming from other state agencies, it may even take a year or even more time, because for them to be cleared, for instance, if that officer under mortgage with the other institution, for them to release that data, it might take even a longer time.
Okay, very well. That supports your evidence on the delay. So, tell us, have you addressed this issue elsewhere?
Yes, this matter was also in the audit report for the financial year 2021-2022, where the county executive appeared before the, the county public accounts committee of the Senate.
And did you write a response to the Senate on that very issue?
Yes, I wrote and even explained myself.
Yes, is it the response that appears on page 180 to 182 of volume 1B of the governor's documents? Page 180 to 182 of volume 1B of governor's documents. Is that the response you're talking about?
Very, very true. In fact, it begins with the invitation of it indicates.
We can leave the details, but I just wanted you to confirm that you are actually were invited to by the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate.
Absolutely,
now,
so yes.
What is the current status? Is that an issue in Meru County as we speak?
In fact, from the information and evidence, this matter has since been resolved from the 1st of April 2024.
Okay, so and 1st of April, that means that this issue was resolved even before the impeachment motion before this very House.
Absolutely so.
To the best of your knowledge, was the county assembly informed of this resolution of the manual payroll issue?
It wasn't, because this matter is appearing in the audit report for the financial. It's also appearing in the audit report for the financial year 2022-2023. If the Public Accounts Committee for the County Assembly, if they had invited the county executive to address these matters in the audit report, they would have certified themselves.
Okay, so you mean to say that this issue was resolved, and it is the very issue that the Assembly wants the governor impeached on?
Very true.
And have you seen the issue elsewhere in the county assembly?
Yeah, the county assembly also, not all, in this matter, or to explain, it's not a matter unique to only the county executive of Meru. It is also a matter that also has appeared in the 2021-2022. If you peruse that audit report, you'll find that the county assembly of Meru and a similar.
Okay, so that appears at page 247 to 326 of volume 1B of the governor's documents. Now let us go to the issue of the doctor's pay. The governor has been accused of paying doctors' allowances illegally, and as you said earlier, that issue has been picked from the same audit report. Now, what was the basis of making this payment?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members of the Senate. This matter arose from a return to work formula it was an issue that arose. This formula, or return to work formula, is dated 18th April 2017. There are correspondences that that are made by the Ministry of Health concerning the matter, what they resolved and what they agreed, and then the same is open to the Council of Governors.
Okay, sorry to cut you short, but the correspondence you're talking about, is it the correspondence found in page 327 to 330 of volume 1B of governor's documents? Is that the correspondence confirming that the county assembly, the county executive of Meru was actually within the law in making that payment?
Absolutely so.
So those are the documents that you wish to rely on to confirm that payment?
Very true.
Page 327 to 330 of volume 1B of the governor's documents. Okay, let us then move on to, but before we move on from there, so this issue that you are saying relates to payment of doctors relating to the CBO of 2017. Are you familiar with the recent developments relating to doctors' strikes and the implementation of this CBA?
Oh, okay. Let me make some explanation. It's a belief that, or it's a practice that a CBA runs for 4 years. However, if there is no other subsequent CBA, that similar CBA runs until another CBA is arrived at. The one that I'm aware of, there is in April, there was an agitation for improved remunerations to the medical field, and there was a return to work formula, and that CBA is the one that I can quote.
You are talking about the strike we saw recently.
Very true.
And the assembly has also produced a video of doctors striking on the basis of that very implementation of the CBA. Are you referring to that strike?
Yeah, the one that was agreed in April 2024.
So, do you find it in good faith that these two issues are being brought before this House to impeach the governor?
In fact, what I know, and it is an HR practice, is that once a benefit has been given or confirmed, you can't go back and retract that benefit unless it is done the same way that communication was done, or the SRC, which is a body that is tasked with the remunerations, also issues a notice. So what you would have seen is a similar communication, the way it was done to retract those benefits to the doctors.
Okay, very well. Let's go to the last issue. You have also mentioned in your affidavit that there were frustrations that the executive faced in coming up with the budget for 2024-2025. So very briefly, would you tell us why you wrote to the controller of budget? The letter that you wrote appears at page 344 of volume 1B, page 344, volume 1B of the governor's documents. So I want you to very briefly tell us why did you write that letter?
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Senators. I wrote this particular letter when in our budgeting process, we made a CFSP as touched by the PFM Act 2012. We submitted to the County Assembly, which then went beyond by the PFM Act. It went beyond other key considerations that are set by the legal provisions. So at that particular time, that is when I wrote to the control budget seeking an advice on those issues.
Okay, so the documents you've relied upon are from page 336 to page 344. So, has the County Assembly implemented the memorandum that was arrived at between the executive, the Assembly, and the controller budget?
It is important that I give some information to this honorable house.
For the sake of time, I just want you to confirm whether just very briefly explain what happened after you came up with the memorandum.
Okay. After coming up with the memorandum that was negotiated between the Assembly and the County Executive, we made a budget estimate because that memorandum was supposed to inform that budget estimate. The budget estimate was submitted to the County Assembly, which they approved as per the memorandum. However, after they approved the budget estimate, then I was supposed to make or draft an appropriation act to appropriate that budget estimate, which I submitted to the County Assembly.
So after you submitted, did the Assembly change that appropriation bill?
In fact, what the County Assembly did went against the memorandum and went against the budget estimate that they had already adopted or approved.
So are the changes they made contained in volume 1B, page 409 to 413 of the governor's response? Volume 1B, page 409 to 413. You confirm those, just briefly mention whether those are the changes that you're talking about.
In fact, these are the changes, and this you will see, it's an on the paper, because I also wrote again to the control budget when I realized there's a business appearing in the on the paper of the County Assembly proposing to make amendments against the proposed memorandum and against the budget estimate that the County Assembly had already.
Okay, very well. So just before we before we let you off for the examination in chief, there were several comments made yesterday about service delivery of the governor. So can you just tell us briefly how is the governor's performance in terms of financial performance relating to development in the county?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members of the Senate. The performance of a governor can only be be informed by the budgetary how the governor has managed the budget through the report that has been produced by the control budget through the absorption rate. Currently, the Meru County government, this financial year, we have achieved 79% of performance in terms of budget absorption. Then, financial management. The only person who can be able to measure the performance of financial performance of a government, the Auditor General's report that we have 2022-2023 confirms that the governor has transparently and prudently used utilized the finances or the funds of Meru County. Then number 3, on revenue performance, still it's another indicator of performance. The only report that we can rely on revenue performance is a report from the Commission on Revenue Allocation. We have not seen any adverse report from the CRA. We have not seen any adverse report